Today's vlogging video is all about how to keep up motivation when nothing is happening with your blog. And I think this is such a common feeling and issue that a lot of people felt or feel. I know I felt this when I was starting my blog. And there's a few key things that I did and thought about that were major game changers and helped me keep going when things were just slow and didn't really feel like there was a future to it. So the first thing that I want to hit on, and I think this is so important, is that blogging is a million times harder than people think it is. It's one of those jobs, and I think that there are so many careers out there where you look at that and you're like, oh, I could easily do that job. Like, that's so easy. Are you kidding? You wouldn't. Like, there's just so many things, and then you actually do it and you're like, oh shit, like that is not easy. And I know even like I do this all the time. Like, I'm gonna talk about the comparison game a lot because it's a big struggle in the blogging world, just personally for me. And I always like see other bloggers sometimes and I look at their lives and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I did what they do versus what I'm doing here, my life would be so much better. It'd be so much easier. Like, it's just that constant, you know, like mind games and just unrealistic things that you see that you think that you can do and you can't do. Blogging is so hard. It is so hard. And I always say this, but just think about how many people you know who have tried to start a blog. Like, I'm just trying to think out loud. Like, if I go through like my social group and other people around me, majority of them, maybe not majority, maybe like 50% of them, 30% of them, whatever, have tried to start a blog. Like, that's like a lot of people if you think about it, you know? And no one is doing it anymore. And that's because I always say, this is my quote with blogging. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone thinks that blogging just entails going and writing a quick blog post about what you ate for breakfast and calling it a day. You know that is so far from the case. It is so strategic. You need to be organized. You need to be, I think another hard thing about blogging is that you are the one telling yourself what to do. Like, Sarah and I always joke. There was one time, I'm kind of getting on a tangent right now, but there was one time a month ago or 2 months ago, and it was like a holiday or something was happening that most jobs take off work for. And we're looking at our schedule and we were like, can we take off work too? And then we're like, no, like we're way too busy. Like, we have this and this and this. Like, we have these meetings. And we look at each other and we're like, wait, we literally make our own schedule. Like, all of these meetings are with each other. And yes, they're such important meetings that we have to do and get done. But like, we make them, like we make ourselves busy. And if you have the personality that you can convince yourself to get stuff done and to not slack, or, you know, like, it's fun in the beginning and then after a while it's not fun. Like, after a while it turns into a job. So being able to have that mindset on, this is work that I need to put in now and it's not fun and it has to be done, then it really will pay off in the future. And like I said, if it was easy, everyone would do it. If blogging was an easy thing to do and a fast way to make money, don't you think that every single person would want to do it? Like, it's like a no-brainer. But now you know that's not easy. So another thing is, I was a researcher when I started my blog. I researched so many successful bloggers. I watched so many videos, and I'm assuming because you're watching this video that you are in the same boat. Like, the research side of it's actually a benefit to us because we can figure out things a lot faster, take courses, learn the knowledge a lot faster than us trying to figure it out on our own. However, you always have to have in the back of your mind that when you are listening to someone, like one of my videos, not even one of my, I mean, I try to be like super real, hopefully, is what, I know I try, but hopefully you're getting that same type of, like, you know, vibe from me. But when you're buying a course or when you're watching bloggers videos or anything that you're trying to like buy something from or really learn something from, that person is a salesperson, whether it's for themselves to go to one of your blog posts or to read some of your content or to buy one of your courses or to buy a product in general. Everyone in this world is a salesperson. And so you have to know when they tell you, I was able to get 100,000 page views in my first year of blogging, that's really easy to say. And they're saying it out loud because that's a sales, like that's what you need to say to get sales on your blog or whatever you're doing. But you also have to think about that that's like what they tell you is probably 5% of what they did, and they're not giving you the other 95% of it. So whether that's that they had one viral post or that they didn't have another job on top of it, they didn't have kids, they weren't a student. And there's just so many different like case scenarios on how people can grow and why people grow faster than others. And so I think that that's like part of the comparison game too, is that you have to remember that you're only seeing the good side of it normally. Like I was just talking, this is like another thing I was just talking to one of my friends about, because like right now I'm struggling slightly with this whole blogging world, is that you are getting opinions 24/7. I am constantly getting opinions on whether people like what I'm doing, don't like what I'm doing, like what I'm making, don't like what I'm making, agree with what I'm doing, don't agree with what I'm doing. And that is the career that I'm in. I put myself out there every single day, and so I'm asking for that in a lot of ways. Same with, celebrities and other things like that. Like when you put yourself out there on the internet or on TV or whatever, you are directly allowing people to give input on your life, which is fine. And I knew I signed up for this. However, after a while, like seeing people's inputs every single day, it just is a little like wear down on you. And I was telling my friend, I was just like, we were having this girlfriend talk, and I was just, like it's exhausting. Like it's exhausting to every single time open your phone, have someone give like an opinion on your life and how you're doing your life and what you're doing. And I backed that up by being like, I'm so grateful. But I'm so grateful. Like I am so blessed that I get to do this job, which I am so blessed to be able to do this job. However, I worked my butt off for the last 4 years. I am working right now from 7 a.m. in the morning to literally 10:30 at night, solid. And if I get some time out there, like it's rare that I can go kind of do whatever I want. And you would not know that probably from my Instagram. Like part of my role as social media, and the reason why social media is so messed up in a lot of ways, is because a lot of the time I am trying to make it look like I'm not working when I am working. And it's just trying to make your life like, like for my content for blogging, it's a lot of like, decor, cooking, cleaning, organizing, okay? And so when I go and I shop at Target, which is an amazing, like this is, I'm not complaining, but I think after, I hope that you can kind of relate in some ways to what I'm trying to say, but basically everything is now a job, okay? So even when I go to Target and buy stuff to decorate my apartment with or whatever, I have to film that. And so sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to show up today. But what I'm trying to get at is, that was maybe a bad example. I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at is it's so easy to look at bloggers and think that they did this in 1 year. Why am I not doing this in 1 year? Why have I worked so hard and I have no stats to show for 1 year? And then it's the comparison game. And that's like a part of every single job. I think especially on social media, because you're not seeing like the full story at all times. So just remember that as you're doing everything, that you see the 5%, you don't see the 95%. And the 95% is people literally working their butts off to continue being a blogger for years and years and years. Is so difficult. It is so difficult to continue pushing yourself. It's difficult to think of content. It's difficult to keep people interested. There's just a lot of things that aren't easy about it. So that's something that I struggle with a lot, and so I need to tell myself that. And I've struggled with that as long as I continually grow my blog, as I see other people like hit like what other people's benchmarks are, and I'm not hitting those benchmarks at the same amount of time that they are, and then so I feel bad for myself and have like almost a pity party. And then I don't work as hard, when really like that needs to be your motivation to work harder so that you can get to those steps, whether you do it in the same amount of time frame or not the same amount of time frame. All right, now that I've had a little rant / TED talk about that, let me talk about the things that I do when I'm in a slump or when stats are tanking or any of that. So first off, your stats, at least I'm going to speak for myself, my blogging stats are all over the place. A lot of blogs are seasonal. Our blog is seasonal. BSL is a seasonal blog. We have high months and we have low months. And also we're working with social media. Social media algorithm changes can instantly tank your blog in 2 seconds. And so you have to, there's been a lot of times where like Pinterest, for example, I love you Pinterest and I hate you so much at the same time. But there will be moments when like everything is so good, okay? Everything's great. And then we'll go look at our, we have like monthly meetings where we look at all of our stats and we'll look back and we'll be like, well, shit, what is going on here? Like, why is this tanking? And it's so hard not to panic in those moments and think that everything's over. It's all over. Most of the time, it's just like for like Pinterest algorithm changes, which they do it often. It's just like it takes like a week for it to kind of like level out. I usually find a week to 2 weeks after an algorithm change, but then you just have to work on your strategy. That's the same thing with every single business. Finance, there's always like different things happening. Real estate, it's just, I don't even know where I'm going with this. This whole video, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going with this. But basically, for me, I just know that, there's just a lot of noise in the blogging industry, whether it's from social media, like you're seeing your stats differ, or like Facebook groups, people are saying like, this is happening, and just don't freak out. Like sometimes I'll freak out and it ends up being nothing, and I'm like, why did I freak out about that? Like that was just a waste of my emotions, really. And so know that like sometimes your stats will just simply be down. That's the name of the game. We have learned, and I have learned after the first year of blogging, 2 years of blogging actually, I'm like, I can expect that in February and March, my views are just lower. That's just how it is. In summer, my views should be high. Like if you're in a high month and your views are low, then maybe that's a little bit concerning. But it's volatile. Like basically blogging is a commission-based business. And so, you have to, there's different high times and different low times, and don't freak out during those times. It usually, if you continue working hard and getting content out there, it will level itself out. Don't be stupid, but keep putting content out there, get it on social media, and it will stay, you'll be able to work with it. Number 2, blogging is not a fast game. This is what I remind myself all the time. We have a quote hanging in the office that literally says, we're in it for the marathon, not for the sprint. And so every single thing that you do needs to be getting you through that marathon. You can't expect that in 4 months you're gonna have a fully running blog. Like that is not how it's gonna work. That's not how the blogging industry works. It takes years and years. We're 4 years in and there's still things that I'm constantly tweaking and want to change. And that's just part of owning a business. You really have to go into this with the mindset of that you're owning a business and that this is going to be a long journey. It's not a fast journey. Unless you want to sell your blog. Okay, so there's obviously like different angles that you can take. If you want to start a blog and start getting into like selling the blog industry, then maybe that's something that you do think of as a fast game. But for me, I'm doing it more as a brand and my business and my career. And so that is just a constant reminder that it's not a fast game, and I got to keep on going through the hard times and the times that I'm not motivated and I don't want to do it. Those are the times that you really have to kick it into gear. So next point, this is what I really do, is whenever I'm feeling super, super down in the dumps, and either like I saw someone who's doing way better than me, or whatever triggered my unmotivationness or whatever, is I plan 2 days and I go to a coffee shop because I love being in a coffee shop. There's nothing like I just like being around the energy of people. And specifically, I go to a coffee, and this is just me personally based, I go to a coffee shop that is filled with businessmen and women, because I get a lot of energy from like listening in to different business meetings happening, and I learn a lot from it too. And so I have one coffee shop in the area that I know is like, that is where the businessmen and women usually go to. So I sit up there And I just research and I content plan. Content planning kicks me into gear. So when we do our content calendar, when I plan out the next 6 months, like that's when I really get so motivated. And so I'll look up a ton of different websites. I'll look up blog post ideas. I'll do it all. Branding, where I want the business to go and growth. I'll look at everything. And that just puts a fire in my soul. I don't know why it does, but it just gets me so like excited about the future instead of like dreading it, and makes me want to work harder. Also, podcasts. I listen to so many podcasts. I get in a lot of like, so I am a walker. Like I love to go on walks and listen to podcasts. And I can tell a direct difference between when I get out of my walking phase versus when I'm in my walking phase and listening to podcasts. Because I learned so much from them and they really motivate me. So there's a few different podcasts that I listen to. Some of them are from business owners. Some of them are from bloggers. Some of them are more lighthearted. But my favorite ones are usually from like the business owners. When I first started my blog, I listened to blogging podcasts way more. I have a favorite one. Let me just see if I can find it to tell you about. But I haven't listened to it in like years, but this was what I really did listen to this all the time. Oh, Jenna Kutcher is so good actually. Like I listen to her blog a lot and she gives me a lot of motivation. Do you even blog? Oh my gosh, this is so great. Looks like he blogs once a month. But when I was listening to him, and I'm looking at all of his podcasts right now, he had some great people on, like top of the game people, at least for the people that I was looking at, and that super motivated me. So I definitely recommend getting out there, going on a walk, putting in a podcast. That helps me a lot. I'm trying to think what else. Mostly just the content planning and like taking time to think about the growth of it and not necessarily where you are in the moment, but where you want to be. So you don't want to spend doing too, like I know some people in my life who spend too much time thinking about the future of the business. So there's always like the happy medium of, to get to the future of the business, you obviously have to work. But in those times of feeling just like, ugh, like why am I doing this? Like why am I wasting so much energy on something that nothing's happening for? Just keep going. And I'm gonna finish this video with a quote that Shelby, who's part of the BSL team, told me about. She's also my sister. And this quote sticks with me all the time. Atomic Habits, it's in. Read Atomic Habits if you haven't. That's another thing that can keep you motivated. But basically the quote is talking about an ice cube. And it's like in relation to someone working really hard for something. So like you're waiting for the ice cube to melt. And once it melts, then you're gonna go do something or something will happen. And so for like in the blogging sense, like you get your blog started, you write all the blog posts, you get everything going, you're working so hard, things are happening, and then you hit like 28 degrees, okay? So it feels warmer, but you're still frozen. And so you're like, you just get exhausted. You know, you're like, why am I doing this when nothing's happening? But then you don't realize that as you keep on going, it gets 29, and then it gets 30, and then it gets 31. And basically the moral of the whole story is that someone gave up when it was at 31. Little do they know that if they would have gone just a little bit more, they would have started melting at 32. You know, and so I always think about that as I'm like working so hard and doing stuff and putting myself out there and, you know, sometimes not loving what I'm doing, is I just think this could be the tick that brings me to the next point that I want to get to. So that's my like I said, that's my TED Talk / that's my Soph Talk that we have going on here. But I'm seeing if I had any other notes to say, and I don't. So that wraps up this week's video. Make sure to check out the other videos. We either have it this week or next week. Our email course is launched, which is so exciting. We've been working on it for the last 2 months. It's so micro and granular. Like if you are just starting your blog, do not get this course. It will not be helpful for you. You need to have like you need to be like, at least, you need to know what you're doing in the terms of how you write your blog posts and like Pinterest and getting traffic there. So if you're not at that point, take my Perfecting Blogging course and my Perfecting Pinterest course. It's a tagline into that. That goes over the basics on like how I run my blog. Perfecting Blogging is like the actual behind the scenes of the blog, from SEO, our strategies on how we manage our content calendar, our different, exactly how we write our posts. It's like, it's a science how we do all of that. And then we have Perfecting Pinterest, which goes over our entire Pinterest strategy. And Pinterest is the number one thing that gets traffic to our blog. And then Perfecting Email. Email is the number one. We focus on email in every single thing that we do. So this video is for email, technically. And everything on our blog, if you go to bysophialee.com, you will see that everything is geared towards getting someone on our email list. So like we have different opt-ins throughout our entire every single blog post. Right when you go on our homepage, you can see how we get people on our email list. Basically, everything's to get on the email list, which then once you have someone on your email list, you can talk to them forever. So that's so much better than just someone coming to your website one time. And so this course is going over our entire email strategy. It's so complicated, which is why this course is so granular. Like, I don't know how, not to toot my own horn, but I don't know how we figure this out. Like, it's crazy how detailed it is. But anyways, that course is coming out this week or next week. So we'll have it in the description of this video. Make sure to check out the other videos. I have a lot of great videos for beginners. Some videos are better for people more advanced in the blogging world, but I hope that it was relatable for you in some ways. And just know if you are struggling with your blog and just the motivation, it's so normal. Actually, I don't know anyone who started a blog who hasn't struggled with this. And so it's just figuring out how can I get through this so I can keep on going. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you at next week's blogging video.